Now, the first question I always have, which is the most important question, is Declan, are you here with me?
Yeah, Armin, of course I'm here. I'm taking notes.
Hey, there you go. See that? See, the first thing that you've learned so far is always remember to have your conference call company on, on Instant Messenger.
Oh, gosh, always be on IM anytime you're on the phone, right?
Declan, first of all, welcome to the conference call. Before we get started, I just want to, again, give everyone a little reminder about the conference call and why we're doing this. This is all part of the Big Seminar preview series. And what we're doing is getting ready for our next big seminar. This is our 7th big seminar, the 7th time that we have done this, going into our 4th year. This is the start of our 4th year doing seminars. Literally, we've taught thousands of people. Actually, we have taught more people about Internet marketing than any other seminar there is in the world. So we're pretty proud of that with the number of people that we've had come through the big seminar. And the great part about that is that people keep coming back and back and back. Now, the question you need to ask yourself is, why do they keep coming back? First of all, it's different every single time. The information is different. Times change. The Internet changes so fast, so frequently. You need to stay up to date on information. The second part is because once you've learned the value of a seminar and you've experienced it live, you will always come back to a seminar. I always go back to seminars. Why? Because of the simple reason is that the people I meet there, the information I learn is not in any book. It's not in anywhere else on the net. You can only get it from a live event, and that's the reason why seminars are so important. This next seminar that we're having is amazing. As I said earlier, we have done something that I know no one else has done to this point, and we are going to show that at the big seminar. In fact, we're going to give something away at the big seminar that's pretty amazing. We were on the call with this. I'm not going to tell you who because it'll blow the whole thing. But if we're on the phone with this major multi-billion-dollar company the other day working out this deal, and we're going to give these things away at the big seminar. And so again, to see what it is, you're going to have to be there in order to see it. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, we have sold out our whole hotel already. The second thing we're working on, we just negotiated over the weekend, hotel number 2 and number 3, which means that we have rooms at 2 hotels, one across the street, one a couple blocks down the road, not too far away, still within walking distance, certainly, of the actual Sheraton where we're holding it. So you need to register your room immediately. This is not a marketing technique. This is actual fact. Some people say, I had someone call me the other day, ask me, Armin, that thing about the hotel, is that true or is that just some marketing ploy you're using? I'm like, dude, this is real. I'm not kidding you. They waited. In fact, let me give you an example. Alex Mondosian did not listen, and Alex Mondosian is not staying at the Sheraton. So take my words. And I know Declan registered early. He got his room already booked.
Oh yeah, I listen, baby.
And so again, you need to register your seat now. You need to get our hotel codes, and you need to register for the big seminar immediately because this is going to be an amazing event. We will tell you more about that as time goes on. But first, again, welcome Declan to the conference call tonight.
Oh, Armin, thanks a lot, man. And seriously, total props to you. I mean, the last big seminar I was at just down at the end of the year in L.A.
Yeah.
There's certain circles I sort of move around, and it's really cool because you get different, really powerful circles of people who do business on the Internet. You obviously have your circle, but when I got there, there's 3 or 4 people that I've worked with that I've never seen there, and these are total players. And I just wanted to give props to you because actually hanging out in the lobby is God, I don't have to go anywhere. I can network and just go to the big seminar.
Right.
I'm telling you, man, it's so essential. But
and it was actually kind of funny because you were actually looking for another seminar.
Of course, I was lost, man.
you were looking for Mark Victor Hansen's seminar, which is across the street we had last time, and you were speaking over there. And doing some business over there, and he happened to walk into our event, which was pretty cool because I happened to catch you out in the hall, and we ended up talking. But even more so than that, though, is that a few weeks ago, actually, I guess about a month ago now, we had the opportunity to spend about a day together out in San Diego, and you started telling me about a lot of the things that you're doing, and now that you're doing with your blogs and things of that nature, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. But so we definitely want to talk about that tonight. The other part is that a lot of people, comparison from when today, 2006, as to when you started, the Internet has changed immensely. And explain to everyone when you got started on the net itself.
Really, I started back when I saw Netscape come out in about November of '94.
Right.
I mean, it had been out a little bit earlier, but when I saw the announcement and saw how easy it was to use, I was trying to do multimedia CD-ROMs, audio and video, and trying to push it at people. And, man, that was like making movies nobody could see.
Right.
So I saw Netscape, and I said, okay, I can't do the audio multimedia stuff. That would really be hot, but I can reach a few thousand people like right now.
Right.
And just started doing business and opened up my first one in about April of '95. And I got to tell you, it feels like after all that time, the original idea I had, which was audio, video, infomercials, the way that we can use this to do direct response beyond text is finally here. That's what really psychs me about what's going on right now.
I mean, doing multimedia CD-ROMs back in 1994, 95, I mean, it would have been crazy because, I remember 1997, actually, I got my first laptop with a CD-ROM built into it, and it cost me about $4,000 at the time.
Man, I was programming in Lingo, which was Macromedia Director.
Yeah. And
if any programmers are on, I mean, I was just no more than an if-then statement away from doing anything, which is really simple programming. But you could put it together. But, man, what happened was it just became so much easier now to distribute it. I mean, the real problem was Windows, Mac, et cetera. But now what's happening, the coolest thing is there really is no platform issue.
Right.
And that's it. I mean, that's like such a breakthrough. But, man, I tell you, it's just like 95, though, because all the people doing really hot stuff in podcasting and blogs, one, generally have a job.
Right.
Which takes a whole different approach to any tool that you get. And number two, they really do it really great, but they're very dogmatic that this is the way you do it.
Right. You know what's interesting, and I know you're doing a lot with podcasting and you're doing a lot with blogging and things.
Yeah.
What's interesting about the blogging community, or I should say the podcasting community, is the fact that a lot of these people are of the opinion that, oh, man, you shouldn't monetize that thing. I mean, because it's all about the content. You know what I mean?
Man, you know Tom Gerace, who founded Be Free, which was bought for like who knows how many millions of dollars. He was one of those guys. He started, and the saying was, the code must be free.
Right.
Until the IPO came.
Right.
But it was actually genuine. But it's funny, man. It's the same vibe, and I don't mind. It can be free. Mm-hmm. But what's wrong with actually looking at this thing as a marvelous way to build an audience and a following?
Right. And that's really what we're talking about here is building that following, building that community, that loyal following. Because now, I mean, let's face it, with email the way it is today, if you don't have that strong relationship with that end user, they're not going to read it, and chances are it's probably never going to get through.
Well, the thing I like about it too, you're totally right, and if you mix a little bit of audio blog with email, because email's never going away.
Right.
I mean, the center of my system is email acquisition to be able to build a relationship, but I can then contact them in blogs and audio in different, we won't call them modalities, but it's not your email inbox. Right.
Now, I think it's really interesting to point out to people is that, when I talk about you to other people, is that I always explain, I'll always have this, this statement up front is that, that you play in a different game than many of us have. I mean, you've played in the big leagues. When I say big leagues, I mean working with some major companies like MyPoints.com, like American Express, like all these major Be Free, people like that. And you've done major advertising on the net, and you've really handled millions of dollars for these companies.
No, totally. I mean, just running ad campaigns and getting in that discipline.
And so I just want to let people know about that because you've figured out the systems, you've applied to these big companies, and you've again gone from that world and back down to this world with that knowledge that these big companies have had, being you, and brought that down to the average person, and you've really found out that it's the same damn thing all over again.
It's really funny, I always say. I actually started, and I like to be down here in the trenches where we actually get stuff done.
Yeah.
And you climb up, and then you go to them. This is what we do in the trenches. It's really simple. Just do it. And, of course, what happens? We get results.
Mm-hmm.
And you look like a god, though anybody who does the normal, simple, direct marketing practices can do it. Like you said, it doesn't mean it'll work.
Right.
But if you get in the methodology of saying, as I used to teach my employees, when it works, be surprised. Don't expect it to work. And what happens is when it works, it's easy to dance. But when you can actually go through a campaign and do a little cookie cuttering in 4 to 8 weeks and find that perfect message that people want to spread.
Right.
And that's to me, it's, as database, it's the name of the game is finding out what the heck they want to spread and letting them spread it like wildfire.
So again, it's finding that right message to the right target audience and then once you've done that, again, it all perfectly lines up in place.
Yeah, actually, I was saying that, it's right voice, right market, right time.
Perfect.
It's just the same as direct marketing, and the cool thing with the voice, that to me, is that voice is something that certain people have, it's your vibration, your intonation, and also the likability of your voice, which, like, one of the things I talk about is the amazing thing, like, at MommyCast. I mean, I research into the industry and find two women talking in March 2005. By the end of the year, they have 100,000 subscribers and a $100,000 or so sponsorship deal. I'm not sure on that exact figure.
Right.
But within about 9 months, and these are just two moms talking.
Right.
And building a little social network of moms.
And that's really interesting, because that's one of the case studies that we have actually on the website is regarding this particular case study. And explain to everyone, because they've read a little bit about this on the website, on the big seminar website itself. But explain to everyone exactly what happened, because they really went from almost zero to, again, these big numbers like you were just talking about.
Yeah, and it's interesting because what they mix is, I would say, and what's interesting is because it's such an early time period that I think your ability to get your voice recognized, if it's interesting, fresh, original, is really hot right now. Because people are looking, and a lot of the content is being done by people who sort of do it live. And, some do it well, some don't. I mean, that's just media.
Sure.
These guys, as best I can see, I got to tell you, I went into the whole social network of moms just from learning from this kind of case study. Because when they went out, the thing about the moms networks, and I'm using that very generally, but there's a lot of networking moms, work-at-home moms, moms for parenting. They're natural social networks. And I can see where these guys would get referrals of 3 to 5 or, north of 10 referrals if people really, really loved them.
Right.
And over, if you look over, let's say I'm guessing at the subscriber numbers because I think they're still sort of general in podcasting. Mm-hmm. But let's say in 5 months they got 20,000 subscribers a month. That's pretty feasible.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you should be able to do the same for emails. I mean, put it this way. Yeah. It's a high goal, but it's reasonable.
You brought up a really good point there. You said you should be able to do the same thing for email. You see, I think there's this plateau, and I think it's really a mental plateau in many people's minds about creating an email list. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's because of the techniques they've used. Maybe it's because of the information they've been exposed to. But they feel that, if I'm just starting out, if I get 1,000 or 2,000 emails my first 3-4 months, I'm doing fantastic. Because they've been trained or basically told that that's good. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But it's like the numbers that you just threw out there. Heck, if we just did 20,000 over the course of the whole 5 months, that would have been fantastic for many people who got much less than 20,000 per month. Yeah.
And what's interesting is you're so right, because one of the things I see people do is they say, well, they almost like confirm mediocrity.
Right.
Because what's happening is that should be your like grocery money level.
Right.
Where you're happy to survive. But when you start we've actually done 2 campaigns surrounding blogs and events that we run. In fact, that's one of the things I'll talk about is event podcasts, event marketing in essence to build buzz on a limited time event.
Right.
And we had all these moms come out, I was watching. This is just very typical. If you're a really smart marketer on the net, one of my new sayings is you're more a behavioral psychologist than a marketer.
Exactly.
You're watching the behaviors.
That's that. I mean, to me, that's all it is. It's really that's what testing's all about. Is just monitoring their behavior and see what's going to work best to persuade them or get them to do what you want them to do.
Well, that's where MommyCast got to me. I was like, wow. I mean, I heard the story and I was like, this is something that's really, really interesting. And when we went into the mom circles, we learned, and it's very, very careful. You learn each social network has what it likes and doesn't. You have to be very careful and really, really genuine and direct with your email when you do campaigns. So you're really communicating with them. I mean, their cynicism level is high, mostly that you will sell them to other people. Right. Not that actually what you're doing, but that you're selling them to other people.
Sure.
But beyond that, the bond there is incredible. And when you said about 2,000 emails, the first 3 days we did a test with Momstown, which was one of my first very secret tests I wanted to do to see if we could create an event. They were going to be on Dr. Phil, and the event was Vote for the Mom site, and we provide links that Dr. Phil's staff selected to be put on the website. So we created a viral voting blog and said basically vote for your best mom site. So after the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I got like 2,000 emails. I'm really bummed. I'm like, wow, this wasn't really viral because viral tends to get small, hit a peak, and if it really charges, it just takes off.
Right.
But here's a really cool thing, man. You'll love this, right? So I did my test, and here, I'm such a guy with no kids. I mean, this is so blind. Because I'm with moms, and it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I got like 5,000, 6,000 visitors, about 2,000 emails. We're converting a third. They're voting. The votes are being posted. They love to talk about it, so we're letting their voice come through. But I'm like, man, I wanted, I wanted more. Monday hits. Mom has some time. Kaboom. They started spreading like wildfire where people were voting for the best mom sites because the blog was genuine. We had we have a marketing agenda, but it was really honoring all the votes.
Right.
So, I mean, one of my old clients from the .com days, Baby Center, who's, got some freaking large amount of money, millions to get started.
Right.
They provided a link to our blog.
Amazing.
Lots of votes for Baby Center, which is one of the best sites. Anyway, man, that was we did about 100,000 visitors and 30,000 emails in 7 days.
7 days. And that's incredible. Now, I want to ask you this because 100,000 visitors, 30,000 emails in 7 days, and they essentially started from zero. Am I right?
Zero and a couple of hey, could you send this out to your list emails? Very light.
Yeah, very, very light. So basically, it's a pretty new site.
Yeah.
For the most part, really no major work has been done on this promotion-wise or anything like that. So you took it from zero to, again, these incredible numbers, which are amazing, which anyone on this call would absolutely love to have in 7 days especially. And using these new techniques that you've been working on, utilizing blogs, podcasts, and many of these other methods, this whole new system that you've been teaching for the last few months here.
Yeah, what was really cool that I've just discovered, because this was an event is like a limited time offer. The event was for a week.
Right.
In fact, I kicked myself. I said, man, if we'd been prepped and did this for 2 or 3 weeks, cha-ching. It was just so amazing, the discussions that were going on, that it was organic word of mouth, which means people were talking without our pushing them.
Right.
And I don't know how you get that, man. You roll the dice and it happens. You go, wow, the field is full of flowers.
Right.
And we just drove them to this thing to be able to have them talking about everything that was going on. But what happened was, this was so cool because there's a site, flylady.net, never heard about it. I'm not a mom. I'm not in there.
Yeah.
But what happened, she got like 8,000 votes. There's just, you get these insane levels that people have such a passion. And it was funny. The votes were totally genuine, too. I'm not kidding. We deduped. We did some basic auditing in a database.
Yeah.
Clean as the day is long.
Amazing. Because, when you get in that right niche, and again, this is about as niched as you can possibly get. There's not, for these people voting, there's not a monetary incentive. There's not a huge bribe in order to get them to vote. Or anything like that, and they're, like you said, they're genuinely voting, getting their opinion, things of that nature, and you guys are collecting names and email addresses.
Yeah, and then what they did was they communicated with them and really cleaned that up to make sure everybody was well informed.
Right.
You follow up, because there's a sense where I could see some of the guys would go, all right, field day, and these women wanted to build a relationship with them, so they built the list to make sure they were good for, like, transitioning to a newsletter and other things. And what was interesting is, I think, by being genuine and really, an event that was beginning with a result that we gave them. We had a link to the best sites picked by Dr. Phil's staff after we submitted some of the findings.
Right.
And it was cool. We still get, man, kills me. We're getting 10,000 or so visitors a month to this day. This thing was like back in October 2005.
Right.
And it's still pumping along from search engines.
Amazing.
Not even, seriously, just one of those effects that happens after marketing that never ceases to astound me.
Yeah, that just kind of residual.
Yeah.
It just keeps coming in. Now, you mentioned the word viral, several times throughout this conversation, and let me ask you a question. How important today in March of 2006 is viral marketing for your marketing efforts as part of your marketing campaign?
Oh man, I would seriously, and this is going to be heavy bias because I've moved my whole direction towards this.
Right.
Because what's happening is that advertising and buying media is a really expensive game. I used to be able to go out and buy ads on the network and put down 25 or 50 grand and, be out. No way. I can't even walk into Yahoo or anything with money like that. So the advertising budgets have gone way, way, way up. and you've got to be able to find a way to get people communicating among themselves, because this is evolving. I'm not saying ads are dead. Email lists are fantastic, but we need to have a way that we keep in touch with them as they go to cell phones, MP3 players. I mean, you got to see the future like the day is long. Everything's evolving around that cell phone.
Right.
I mean, the way that we all know they use it in Europe and Asia, we're heading that way. That's a little 2 to 3 to 5 years around, but basically it's an easy MP3 player utility that they'll carry.
Right.
And that's a way to reach them.
And yeah, because everyone, for example, I got an iPod, and I'm going to probably have to break down and buy a video iPod.
Totally.
It's like I buy an iPod. I got one for Christmas, last year, and I'm like, oh man, now I need a video iPod. So I have to get one of those just so I can play with, because I want to learn how to do video, video on the net and video down to your iPod. So I got to have one in order to test that stuff. But people are taking everything with them. On my iPod, I've got audio books, I've got all this other stuff, and which is really interesting because I say audio books, I start listening on a plane, and what happens? I fall asleep, so I'm never going to listen to it.
But still, you can carry it with you on the plane, in the gym.
Yeah.
I like that because what's really cool is when we reach them there, because when they're on the net, it's really short attention span theater.
Right.
Even with an audio, I don't think more than 15, 30 minutes you're going to have them. But when they can actually port this thing and be able to sit where they really want to use your stuff to totally focus on, that's huge.
Right.
I was looking at research by Forrester. They said in 2010, of all households in the U.S., 85% will have mobile phones, of all households. Over half will own laptops, and over a third will use MP3 player-like devices.
Right.
And it's so obvious. I actually did this at a workshop. I said, okay, let me give a show of hands how many have a cell phone. There wasn't one person in the room who didn't have a cell phone, obviously.
Right. It's really interesting, those numbers, because I know some of the people listening onto this call may be saying, man, those are really low numbers. But considering, we got to remember that everyone on this call right now, they're on the cutting edge. They're on the, the first mover's advantage type of mentality, where we feel we got to have all these technical gadgets immediately because we're doing business on the net. So a lot of us are going to have these things already, and and probably then some. I know some of the things that I get. I know probably aren't going to be really viable for a couple of years yet, as far as being able to market you and use as a marketing technique. For example, we're talking. I'm working on plans to do video streaming from my home.
Nice, man.
we got an HD camera and everything like that.
Oh, totally. I got a T1 running up in my hills.
See, man, I would love to have that.
No, but it's it's funny. It's what you're doing. It's the studio.
Yeah.
Because to me, that's like the new model is not the office. It's a studio where you're actually connecting and broadcasting. And the cool thing is, it's not that hard to do for them.
Right.
That because it really, up until now, I haven't really ever. I'm real wary about any technology because I want to see my neighbor up here in Chico use it.
Yeah.
And if they can do it, I'm semi-comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's just so obvious to me that what you're asking about in terms of viral.
Yeah.
Viral is really like you got to think of what I like to say is your intent, obviously the results you want, but it's their community, their social networks that are already out there. And one of the coolest things that we're doing is using the blogs and stuff to sort of survey.
Right.
Find out and do it in a way that's non-intrusive and be able to find the marketing ideas and also the followings for the various people that we're working with. And it's really interesting because if you do it, if you just move a little slowly at first, I love aggression, but just walk in a little slowly, you can find a lot of information that'll help you walk in a lot better.
Right. And, and again, many of these things are allowing people, again, removing that learning curve as far as using much of this technology, because it's really not that hard to create a podcast once you know a few basic techniques. And you can really break it down really simple for people. But also at the same time, it's giving people the ability to do what they know how to do already, and that is speak. Most people can talk, and you put them on a subject that they know about and let them go, and therefore you have your podcast, you have your audio books, you have all these different things that people can use.
No, and what's nice with audio? I think it's even easier than using a word processor.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can actually edit it. Anyone can edit it, and you don't need to get really deep into it. And to me, most everybody we're doing has such an ability to be able to put out their voice, because what that does when you get to anything on the net even, you're just getting, standard 101. You're getting more to know them, and the deeper you can get in, the more information you can give them in video, etc. The more powerful you're going to be, and they're going to develop their own channel around you.
Right.
And that's, that's not like fancy words. It's basically, it's what MySpace did. All the little MySpace was a little social network for those guys who don't know. It's really driven by kids, which usually build the organisms that we look at and go, that's smart. And MySpace put bands up, and bands basically built fan clubs, what we would call email lists.
That is the exact thing I was just going to get to. Is that what we're really doing? Is we're building up our own fan clubs.
And in my you're so right, man. If you go up the ladder, we'll call it social networks. If you're down where I live, it's a fan club. I don't care what you call it, but it's a group of people. It's like Jimmy Buffett has his Buffett heads.
Yep.
That's the parrot heads. Excuse me.
Yeah, parrot heads. Yeah.
It doesn't even matter. People actually, what happens is you get those networks, which is what you have with your whole event, man. It becomes a real network of people that actually go there as much to meet each other and make deals as they do to learn.
And the thing that I was looking at is, I believe there's a whole other technique here that a lot of people I don't think have quite figured out yet. I know we're playing with it, such as using these social networks to build lists.
Yeah.
And that's a big game that I play in every day, which is some crazy stuff that we'll talk about sometime in the future.
Definitely, because when you go out there, we used to say, just get a thick skin, because it's scary sometimes, but it's really amazing, especially with some of the things we've done.
Yeah, because let me give you an example. In the last day, I've been playing around with MySpace, and I have been for several months.
Yeah.
But we built a friends network, if you want to call it, in the last few days of about 2,000 people. That's 2,000 basically people I can email at any given point in time. And for those of you that don't know MySpace, that's how it works, is what they call your friends. Basically, people invite you into their network, you invite people into your network, and this kind of grows virally if you do it right. And we're creating tools in order to go virally and to get them not from MySpace onto another website, and so we can grab their name and email address offline as well too. And so it's a whole game. It's really interesting how we do it. Once we figure it out, we'll probably fill in a few people on it.
You become that's so smart, because a lot of people would say, wait, they all said I got to build a network opposite to it. But what's funny is it's just meeting places that if you know the etiquette and you know how to
tap into
do it.
And just like you said, at the big seminar, it's like, okay, you can go out and you can look for 500 of the most serious business people on the internet, or you can just simply come to the big seminar and they're all right there. So which is easier for you to do? Well, obviously come to the big seminar, because now you can tap into all their networks as well too.
And God, that's so much the key, even more and more. It's getting, 2, 3, 4 years ago, there's things that we could recommend doing that when the net was still growing up, but we've really hit a mainstream effect. And the people who really got cemented businesses and relationships, it was funny. Mark Victor Hansen said a great thing to me. I loved what he said. He said, my friendship equity, it's worth so much more than money.
It's true.
Money is not, don't get me wrong, you need money, but there actually is a lot of money. What it looks for is the relationships and the ability to hit the right market.
Right.
And that sounds really oversimplified, but it literally is that simple. Because to certain people, I found it's just amazing. You meet somebody, and all of a sudden this network opens up to you that there's no way you could have pitched them, cold called them. You have to get an introduction.
Right.
And I used to do that when I pitched from, corporate stage in the middle of the .com thing. I wasn't selling anything except I wanted to really have 7-figure deals, and I would really my intent was, there is one person in this audience. I don't know. I know you're out there.
Right.
And you know what happened? They were there, and the fact was there was one person who was able to come in, and that was going into those networks and getting an intro on a stage with 4 guys, all have been funded with more than $5 million was another story we'll share for another time, but it was a blast. And managed to get a huge deal. Well, they all, just kept dancing around and then got lost in the .com hustle.
Now, along with what you're talking about right now, again, as Mark calls it, his friend equity, is that what he said?
Yeah, he said friendship equity.
Friendship equity, okay, friendship equity. And along with, all this other, with viral marketing, always comes into the question is about joint ventures. And how important are joint ventures to you in your business and the way you do things and the way you teach your clients at this point?
What's interesting, man, is if you look at when I sort of semi-retired about 2 years ago,
yeah,
I'm pretty scarce, sort of for a good reason. I've been staying under the radar.
Right.
And a lot of what I do is through introductions. I'm not averse to listening to people, but I really appreciate a really good introduction. And I'm, really blessed to have introductions to businesses of all sizes and I like to listen and learn. But that's that's just the stuff that's going on now. I got to tell you, there's a shift, and the shift is it's where we're feeding people where they are, not trying to make them come where we are. And that sounds sort of esoteric, but it's not. It's driven by Microsoft, Google, Yahoo, and everything. I mean, they want to be able to have people say, subscribe to this, this, and this, and that's their whole world, their whole network. And man, I see this as big as Netscape coming out in '94. I mean, that's seriously my gut. I'm testing with you though too.
You mean it's like for example, was NBC Universal just bought iVillage the other day. I just got an email today regarding Warner Music Group just bought a company called Layla or Lala.com, which is like a Netflix meets MySpace type idea.
Yeah.
And all these major consolidations are going on across the net. And as you said, there's a shift going. I mean, people are seeing the value of this viral or social networking type concept, and then trying to get into these small networks. And again, when you have your podcasts, your blogs, and everything, you have a network that can be quite viral. I mean, an example, the guy from Weblogs Inc.
Yeah.
I mean, they sold out to AOL for a ton of money, and they were all blogs.
Honestly, a very, very inspirational to my model, Jason Calacanis.
Yeah.
He actually did a digital magazine, Silicon Alley, in the late '90s.
Right.
And then when .com sort of went south, his magazine wasn't worth as much. But Jason was a total insider. I don't personally know him, but you just knew in New York, Jason's one of the guys. I mean, he's very connected. And he just invented that whole blog model, which was really encouraging people through through a network, not by doing it alone.
Right. Because he had other people writing his blogs, which was brilliant in my opinion.
No, that's what I've been a writer for a long time. To me, I've been, in our network, I look at myself as an editor.
Right.
And I really want some kick-ass content, which is great because people coming in, what he did, you try to create something that's semi of quality. I mean, you don't want to be snotty about it because, frankly, it needs to really be simple and down to earth and me to you, not too smooth, too flashy.
Right.
But it needs to be a little bit.
But yeah, it has to have some kind of personality.
Totally.
And that's one of the keys. I mean, in my opinion, to blogging is people, or newsletter or anything else, is that people are really buying your personality, or buying into your personality, I should say. And that's what makes it. That's what makes them stay. Either they like you, or they don't like you. They stay or get off.
Well, that's actually the thing I love for the first wave of blogs, which I have highest esteem for. But you could see that it came out for people like journalists who were, I used to actually freelance through college as a journalist. Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, become an expert in 10 minutes, go, boom.
Right.
I mean, that's just what you do. And being able to improv write, like some of these comedians do, boing boing for just doing comedy. I mean, guys are just, if you don't know these names, these are, if you look up in the blog world, you'll see them at the top. But what they did was put out a really good voice and a message. And I agree with you because I think the misnomer or the mistake of podcasting is that people keep trying to figure out how the iPod works rather than how people will use it. It's content.
Yeah, it's amazing because, I've listened, I go out there and I watch, I go out to the different podcast networks that exist on the net, and and I'll listen to a few minutes of the top podcasts to see what they sound like, what do they talk about, and more and more it's you see more and more of it being like a radio show, with interviews and things of that nature, and I thought, that's pretty simple. I mean, I could probably do that, and but I'm looking at the personality, and obviously there's a very distinct personality behind most of these, and then but then you see this guy who you've never heard of before anywhere coming up, and he's ranked up with all these other people, these big podcasters, and he's just got some show, and some of it's stupid and some of it's just crazy, but he's having a good time and people are listening to it.
Yeah. And it's funny. It's got to be either fun or inspirational, motivational, and practical.
Now, let's look at the profit models because and this specifically talk about between blogs and podcasting a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, the profit model on a blog. I mean, what do you see? I mean, I know a lot of people, look up a blog and they see, okay, the profit model is advertising on the blog.
Purchase advertising?
Yeah, they're going to sell advertising, let's say, on the blog, whether it be Google AdSense or something like that, which is probably the most entry-level thing that you could do.
No, totally. But I give you you want my sort of like a little three-point synopsis on that?
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing, because I'm not a real fan of AdSense because in the areas I'm working, keywords aren't that rich or profitable, and I'm doing information products.
Right.
Not at all against it, but I also don't see the problem I've had with monetizing either a blog, and when I do a blog and a podcast, I actually put my audios in the blog, and then I also give them a reader, so it's sort of the same thing to me.
Right.
But even in there, I could see if I was like in a high keyword paying area like law or makeup digital cameras for an obvious one, something where I could get a high per click, I would totally do it. And if you have, those high demand things that really work in the per click world, totally in blogs. I mean, you see people doing keyword rich blogs.
Right.
That's one way. I think also, and the interesting thing is advertising means you got to sell, and it's the same challenge you have with AdSense is it becomes a game of how many people see it and how many people click, or in ads, how many people see it and just see it.
Sure.
And, the CPMs I'm seeing for people getting paid to do ads, it depends. If you get a nice audience, I mean, if you can get a really, really, let's say, affluent audience or anybody that has, women or a very specific niche market, there's tons of ad dollars out there. But you got to reach a mass to make it worth your while because they'll spend, who knows, $40, $80 per thousand on an ad. But you better be, there's not a lot who get that. Most get around the $1 to $5, which between your traffic and stuff, when all said and done, it's okay. It just becomes a game of volume.
Yeah, and I just want to explain to people a little bit about what you were just referring to, because some people that are listening on the call may not understand like the $40 per thousand, 40,000.
Sorry, man, I didn't mean to rip techie jargon.
That's okay.
We shall define.
That's okay, because we just want to make sure that people understand this. Because this is when we start talking about CPM and things of that nature, some people on the call may not get it completely. So I want to make sure they understand this. What Declan's talking about is $40 per thousand, $40 per thousand page views, and that's what they're talking about. Some companies will know their numbers so well that they will say, okay, well, we're willing to pay you $40 per thousand page views, knowing that X number of people are going to click through the ad and actually buy a product.
So if 1 million people saw the site, you make $40,000, 40 times 1,000.
Exactly.
And that's actually a print term. CPM actually stands for cost per thousand, which is how advertising in magazines has been sold, in newspapers. You buy 1,000 newspapers or 500,000, whatever you want, and you get paid just for showing the ad. And the real cool thing about advertising is you're just showing the ad versus AdSense, which can be good. It can actually be really good. AdSense is about getting them to click, not just to look.
Yeah, and see, one of the things that I think everyone has to understand is also that, you see, when you look at the CPM type model and the CPA type model, this whole model itself is a different game than what you've probably been exposed to before. And I mean, I don't play in that game very much. I play in it very, very little, actually. And on the other side of it, though, is that if you understand that realm and you understand it and go into it knowing your number, and again, numbers are so important at that level. You have to know your numbers in order to make it pay off for you. But if you have a product that converts, that you can get the clicks, everything was going to work out for you, you can make a substantial money relatively fast with a good product. But it can't be like a 1995 ebook that's going to show you how to fix a car.
Yeah, not anymore. No, but I'm totally with you, man, because I look at the advertising thing as maybe it's dollars down the road. That's a lot of volume.
Right.
And frankly, if somebody hits a really crazy idea that people love, you can get that, but it's sort of a weird quantum organic effect. I mean, it just happens. Right. Versus focusing on, I got a product or service, and this is what I think what I approach, and yeah. I know you do. Here's my blog. You know what it's supposed to do? This action, sell my product or service, generate me an email. This is how I'll measure it. Then it's a really nice tool to also promote your own things. Throw in a little AdSense. You can certainly, I've seen some people make darn nice income on that if the keyword prices are high enough.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a way to make money with blogs and AdSense. I mean, we do, a bit of it and things of that nature, but it's a different game entirely. We're doing it in mass with massive number of blogs.
Well, I consider blogs and podcasts very much, in a marketing sense, really lead generation. And number
Absolutely.
one, everybody's got to build, having your email list solid and, by the way, fresh.
Right.
You need to keep we used to jokingly say in the industry, got to keep the freshies coming.
Right.
Because lists get sort of tired, and that's where, I also say that people should monetize it from what we call a standard lead generation, like
sure.
filling out a form and you'll get a reward. And heck, if somebody's in real estate or financial services, there's a huge, huge amount of money to be made in lead generation that will dwarf what I see people doing in per-click and stuff. Because you get the right qualified lead, people will pay a substantial amount of money for that.
Now, with the blogs, again, as you said, you use it as a lead generation tool to generate the leads in order to, again, obviously sell them into a product or service that you happen to be marketing
Right.
in it as well. And, again, as we talked about, building a blog is kind of like building your own fan club, building an online following that are going to stick with you because, again, the first sale is great, but I know for me, the money really is where I get my second, third, fourth, fifth sale from that same customer as well too. So that relationship again is so important. And again, following that up with the podcasting, just like you're doing, that makes it where it's like a stick strategy, if you want to call it that.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my blog. Okay, you like my blog so much. Here's my podcast, and you like my podcast so much. Now here's my product. And if you like this stuff, you like my product just as much because it's more of what I just said here.
Yeah, and it's really coming through the voice, which I think is getting just as powerful as a written word. I like to combine the two of them in any sales process.
Now, let me ask you this, because this is different people have been talking about podcasts, monetizing the actual podcast itself.
Mm-hmm.
My personal opinion is I don't think it's ready at that point because you can't really privatize a podcast per se.
Yeah.
You can, but you can't.
No, it's very in its infancy. Yeah.
Yeah, you can. Ultimately, if they get the MP3, they're going to be able to pass it around.
Yeah, totally.
But what's your concept about monetizing just the podcast itself?
Well, it's really funny. When I first did my ebooks back in '98, when I won't say they're the first, but it was sort of the first wave of them.
Yeah.
People can distribute those all over the place, man. I was giving away Word documents.
Yeah.
Because you know what to me, and this may sound really dumb, but it's digital. I want them to spread it like wildfire, and frankly, most people won't steal it, and the few who did probably got me business down the road.
Exactly.
And I know that's just weird, but you know what? If you're going to go into podcasting and try to control anything, it's something you want to stay off of, and obviously monetizing that is to drive repeat interest. It's really, as I like to say, getting their dendrites to cement your name, your website, your brand, and then be able to do 30-second pieces or specific podcasts. Let's say almost like if you see Trump's The Apprentice, it's always about a product they're trying to sell, and then the group tries to achieve the goal for the product. It's sort of an embedded product in the show.
Right.
People are going to be doing things which are product sales, but which are almost sort of information commercials.
Right.
And they can do it in audio. In audio right now, but as far as we can sit there and look in our crystal ball, but
yeah.
I like it because I think it gets us one of the most positive things I would say in PR value, and also to the audience you can reach, because by PR value, podcasts and blogs are very, very, very interesting right now to journalists and the entertainment industry. They're all over them. I don't know how long this will last. My projection is a year. That's just a crystal ball, but it gets you noticed rather than a website. They're like, oh, that's a blog or a podcast. How neat.
Right.
I can sell that. That's newsworthy. People are starting to get that, and I think you got a little trend there. But also, the nice part about an early thing like this is the main reach of audience you're going to have are going to be not necessarily all affluent, but first movers, people who are going to spread this kind of thing down. And if that market is appealing to you, because it may not be for all, I think it works well. And as this thing gets a little bit more spread out, I think it's just an easier distribution mechanism for MP3 files.
Right.
At its heart, but it's just easy to do.
Sure. And audio, again, as you said, is just so easy to do for anybody. I think some people just make it too complicated.
I actually went to a workshop. I said, how many of you got, same audience I said with cell phones. Everyone had cell phones. I go, okay, put your hands down. I said, how many of you got cassette tapes? And almost as many hands went up. I was like, whoa, you still got cassette tapes? I said, well, you can plug that into a computer.
Right.
What's funny is a lot of times the existing content, and I'm not talking the hours and hours, but the best of, I was on a little bit earlier, and you mentioned some videos you've seen of me.
Mm-hmm.
I got all those videos.
Yeah.
And it's really funny. You're so right, because back then, everybody was just doing, it's always revolved around email.
Right.
That's the one constant that's been through, and I think will continue. All these other things help supplement it, because email is a great direct marketing channel. Also, one of the things I'll be talking about at big seminars, also about the telephone, and that's just a little hint. Because combination of net and good telephone strategies, and I don't mean telemarketing, just really smart,
right,
are becoming not only on the cutting edge, but among my friends at the Uber levels, everything is word-of-mouth marketing.
Right.
and finding a way to get them on the phone in a comfortable way, because that's about the closest we can get to actually talking to them at this stage, even though things have progressed.
Right. Because we do some a little bit. We don't do proactive marketing on the phone.
Yeah.
But what we do is we actually do the basics, which many people have talked about, most people don't do, and that is we actually just call every customer that we have as soon as they place an order and thank them. Okay. Now we don't even try to upsell them at this point. All we do is we just call them up and say thank you for purchasing. If you have any problems, if you have any questions, here's our customer service website. Go there, put in your questions. One of our customer service people will be happy to answer you. And we get so much response just from doing that little bit with it. And then there's these new systems that we're looking at right now. We're looking at an IVR system to take orders, and having it coded on our website for all of our affiliates. So we're doing some crazy things so we can take phone orders off the line because, and where I got the idea was from these infomercials that come up, these little it's a 1-minute infomercial for usually prepaid legal or something like that on television. And they have the black bar across the bottom of the screen with an 800 number with an extension. The extension is their affiliate ID. And so I said, well, what if I put that on all my websites? And the question is, how am I going to integrate my affiliate program with it? So we're kind of working on that method right now.
Actually, when I did we drew up our first software back in 98, 99, just pretty rudimentary CGI stuff.
Yep.
And what we did was actually drop in the extension code at the end.
Right.
And I'll share with you offline, but we had a specific formula for making it the right length. And I'll tell you, it was so powerful because people would actually print the order form, and they would call up, and every time they would say extension, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. And our affiliates loved us.
Right.
Because we didn't have leakage to the telephone. And I wanted to encourage them to spread it. And they said, wow, you're the only people who don't have leakage. That's a brilliant idea, man.
Yeah, and that's what we were looking for, is not to have that piece where they have to if they don't enter an extension number, the call can't go through.
Ours was a server side include, so I'll email that to you later. Anything we did was pretty much like etching on the cave wall. Right.
Yeah, back then, CGI and all that stuff. But now, with technology, it makes things easier. And and one of the things that I've been talking about, and many people on this call have heard me say time and time again, I've said this, and I just want to get your comment on this. And I pretty much know what you're going to say. But, I've been telling you, right now on the net is everything's going, in my belief, it's kind of like the Renaissance period. And during the Renaissance period, the reason why it happened and what happened throughout those whole period itself is that people questioned the existing methods of operation and thought processes that were going on through the day, and they came up with their own conclusions. And they've disregarded much of the myths and legends and everything else that were going on during that time frame, especially in the Middle Ages. Mm-hmm. And now I believe the net's going through the same period where people are now questioning certain things, or is this right, is this wrong? We're starting to think more for ourselves rather than what's existed up until this point. And even though the net's not that old, but the way the information has been passed throughout, especially in the marketing, in the areas that we are at, is that people are questioning these theories that have come across, and much of what people have promoted and some marketers have promoted have been purely that theory. And they haven't come out with the real deal. And so now I know we're questioning a lot. I know other people are questioning a lot. And we're finding out that what has existed up until this point maybe wasn't exactly the right thing, so to say. Mm-hmm. And right now I also believe that in 2006, especially going into this is like, as you said, back in the .com days all over again, because the opportunity to make money on the net is greater now than ever has been before in history, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, totally. By far.
And, so the question I have for you is, what do you see the direction of the net going to?
I see the...
And if you, the crystal ball that you have out there in Chico, California, what do you got?
No, totally. Well, I'm serious. I'm serious about in terms of what, for lack of a better word, is word of mouth. But what's really going to happen is that I think you're going to see in these tools, which is probably the best example right now of an imperfect world, is what Yahoo's doing, because they allow people to have the RSS blogs. In other words, they allow people to press a button and have all this technology come without having to look at any of the code.
Right.
Which is what's stopping most of them. I mean, God, you click on a page and you show people a bunch of techie stuff and wonder why they run screaming into the night.
Right.
It's just, Yahoo's the first example of having this where what the user basically does is instead of having to track their surfing behaviors, they're watching what people's interests are. And as people subscribe, like in MySpace, they'd be, hey, I subscribe to this heavy metal band or to this, rap band, R&B, whatever you want to say.
Right.
By their interests, we know them. And we're actually creating, the user is creating the context of their new advertising universe.
Right.
In other words, requesting, and by the way, the really important thing about podcasts is the user is in control of the subscription. If they subscribe, they unsubscribe, not you.
Right.
Which is huge because, in email, I still have to request to unsubscribe because that's the way the system was built.
Right.
This, to me, means if they're in control, then I'm more and more going to have a tough time reaching them through ads and interruptions, and it's going to move to a world that's much more cooperative, joint venture, partnership, strategic alliances, really things that companies can grow in unity in non-competitive markets. I mean, it's not even like let's all hold hands. It's just the market's going to find certain partners that really work together, and they usually come in groups of about 5 or 6 when you're really powerful.
Right. And so what you're saying is that everything's is allowing the users to niche themselves down themselves.
Yeah, I think the 6 degrees world they BS'd about is finally here.
Right.
It's really easy to connect with people, and the cool thing is it's by your interest, not your location.
Right.
That's radical, and there's a lot of different interests, and you'll find certain groups will probably, let's say, have a higher buying behavior than others.
Right.
Just by their nature.
Well, I have the Yahoo Music Engine on my desktop.
Yeah.
And, I open that up, and I have got iTunes and all other stuff too, but when I log into this Yahoo one, what happens is, I made some selections, previously, and when I open it up, based on my selections, the type of music that I listen to, they've customized the home page that I see to exactly the type of music that I have selected. It remembered the type of music I like and kind of make this collage of all this different music on one page, and so now I can say, okay, well, that's pretty interesting. I'll click on that. I'll listen to that, or I'll buy that, or whatever. But it's totally targeted for me. And, in the net, it can be the same way. I mean, people have talked about, people have gone the route of really minor customization, for example, on sales letters, where, customizing the first name. Okay, that's great. But now how about customizing the whole sales letter?
Yeah.
Towards that person by asking maybe 2-3 questions in the whole sales letter is instantly customized. I see technology like that, going right along with what you're talking about, is letting people themselves make the choices and basically letting them choose how they want to be sold.
And almost giving them, what you do is you give them a couple of custom solutions, not just something off the rack.
Right.
And what's interesting is you're right, because some markets, the value of that solution will be more than others.
Right.
I mean, what I do for somebody at a corporate level versus somebody in a startup, there are 2 different price points, even though together they're about the same currency to them.
Right.
Just one has a few more zeros.
Sounds good to me. So, let's talk about a little bit about what you're going to be talking about at the Big Seminar in just a few short weeks away.
You got it, man. Well, we're going to be talking about winning the buzz game, how to use podcasts and blogs to create repeat revenue. And what I'm going to be talking about is really inviting folks to come in my studio, because what I'm doing are really interactive workshops where we come and we take a look at what's going on. I'm going to give you a little background of what I see and the reason that I've really moved full-fledged into this, and I'm just beginning to share some of the research and some of the training that I've done building my own network. So we'll be coming out with that and then showing you some specific examples of campaigns, not only that we are running currently, but that we've run before, to show people not only the lead generation process, but I've developed a really simple and one of the initial, I feel, marketing models for podcasting, and it's something I'm working on. It's something we're developing. It's going to be updated every month. And it's interesting because it really, from a marketing end, I see the ideas developing, and so this workshop will actually be working through a few of the ideas I'm going to show them. I don't want to give away everything, but it's going to be a real blast because in the end, we're actually going to create a word-of-mouth marketing campaign.
Sounds good to me.
Learn by doing.
And you know what? This, for everyone listening, I mean, what Declan's talking about and the results that he's received for not only the things that he's doing himself, but for his clients as well, too, are just truly amazing. I mean, he gave you one example, one case study on this particular call, and these are things that you can have, and the combinations of things I think that Declan's doing is extremely important with blogs and podcasts, PR, and all these different things combined into one strategic element that he has developed a system for is huge. And you need to learn this information. You need to get this. And again, Declan's going to be at the big seminar. But, again, speaking of the big seminar, as I mentioned earlier, the big seminar is coming up in just a few short weeks, April 7th, 8th, and 9th in Atlanta, Georgia. We've got some tremendous things planned for you. We've added a new speaker that I have yet to actually add to the website, and that is Harv Ecker. Harv's going to be there. He's going to be speaking. He's going to be doing something totally new, totally different, which we're really excited about. We've got some great people like Yannick Silver, Craig Perrine, Dave Lacani, who we've talked to, Alex Mondosian, Stephen Pierce, Mike Stewart, Morgan Westerman, speaking of viral marketing. Morgan's going to be there as well, too. Myself, and I'm sure they're probably missing one or two people in that mix, but and again, I'm just going off the top of my head. But these people, every seminar that I've done to this day, I've hand-selected every one of these people. I've asked them, personally invited them, and asked them if they would like to speak at this event because I know what they're doing. I know that they've, in many cases, just like Declan's doing some radical things that are different that you haven't heard of, that is not in the mainstream. You can't buy an ebook on this information. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to work. And Declan, as well as many of the other people here, are giving you the most up-to-the-date strategies that you can possibly imagine. And things change so much. And the way that you can get the fastest information that you possibly can is not from an ebook, is not from an audio cassette, it's not from a DVD, it's not from everything else. It's not even by ordering the CDs and DVDs of the big seminar, because it's from being there. And the reason is very simple. I mean, there is a time factor. When you hear information, you want to hear it now and you want to act on it immediately. Let me give you an example. I mean, I am a firm believer of taking action immediately on information. I bought a script yesterday. There's an email that went around for this free picture script, that meaning that you could put your pictures, upload your pictures onto it, and you create these mini photo albums. I bought that script. Within an hour later, I had it up and running. Within 2 hours, I had people signing up for it, and I'm advertising on MySpace. I mean, you can't get any better than that. But the thing is that I didn't get a huge number of people, but I got some people, and it's growing virally. I've had more people subscribe me to their MySpace friends list in the last 2 days than I've had all month, because of just 3 or 4 strategic posts on emails to certain people, to some well-known MySpace people, and we have started to build this list and started to build this free service that we plan on monetizing with ads and things of other than that, and obviously email marketing as well too. But you have to take action. If there was one thing that I can dictate as far as what my success was responsible for, or what was responsible for my success, it would have to be the ability to take action immediately. And that is the key. That is certainly the key to your success. And you have to get the information in order to take action on. And where you do that is actually at an event, at a seminar. There's many people that are going to be there. There's people who are going to be there from all over the world. We have I have like a whole group of people. I have like this England, it is worse than the Beatles, when the Beatles came over. I got this whole group from England that's coming over to the big seminar. I mean, we're talking 30, 40 people coming just from England. Why? Because they know that what's going to happen at the big seminar. They have heard about it. They have seen it. And we've got this whole group. I'm actually meeting them next week in England. I'm doing this workshop in England, this private workshop out there just for my customers that are in England. And so I'm having room for probably about 100 people or so. And it's just amazing. It's going to be great. And the thing is that these people realize that they're traveling all the way from another country in order to get here. And why? Because they know the value of information. You see, you guys have such an advantage. In fact, in some ways, people in the United States are spoiled because information is so freely available and readily available to you that you don't understand that when it comes to Internet marketing, if you look at the top people in the world when it comes to Internet marketing, they're not in England. They're not in Australia. They're not in Singapore. They're not in anywhere else in the world. They're right here. They're right here in the United States. And you guys have the advantage of literally jumping on a plane for just a couple hours, landing, spending 3 days with literally the world's top Internet marketing experts, people making literally millions upon millions upon millions of dollars a year, and being able to learn from them. I mean, what is that value to you? I mean, in your business right now, I mean, some of you may be thinking this, and I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but I think it's really important that I say this. Some of you may be thinking, my business is at X number of dollars, whatever that X for you is, fill in the blank. But you want to get to Y over here. And you need to figure out, okay, if I'm going to go from here to here, how am I going to do it? Because check this out. If you are continuing to do the same things that you're doing right now and you just do more of it in the next year, it's not going to happen for you. That's about as brutally honest as you can get. It's not going to work. You're banging your head against the wall. You need to change things. And, it sounds kind of funny in a way, but it's not. It's not. There's so many times I've been in the exact same position you are. If I wanted to get something done, it didn't work the first time, what do? I do it again, but twice as hard. And you know what it got me? Nowhere again. It got me absolutely zero. But I had to change. I had to rethink it. I had to come up from a different angle. I had to learn information that I didn't learn before in order to achieve that particular goal. I've been pretty fortunate and able to double my business every single year since I've been on the net. And even at where my business is right now, I can still double it in the next 12 months. Why? Because of the information, of not having to sit down and try to think of all the stuff myself. I'll never know that stuff. I'll go to guys like Declan. I'll go to guys like Stephen Pierce. I'll go to guys like Alex. I'll go to these guys, and I'll see what they're doing, and I'll say, I'll talk with them. I'll ask them, and where I see these guys, I don't see these people on a day-to-day basis or anything like that. I don't even pick up the phone and call them. I see them when I go to a seminar, and we talk for that 5, 10, 15 minutes that we have, maybe one-on-one, and we quickly share what's going on back and forth. And I'm like, oh man, Declan said this. Let me try that. And so I'm going to go back home and I'll implement this stuff. I mean, Stephen Pierce said something at my big seminar over a year ago, right? That it's cost me tens of thousands of dollars to implement into my company, but we're finally getting ready to release it, and it's going to be ready actually by the big seminar, which is funny enough. But it'll take me a total of a year and a half, 18 months, in order to implement one strategy. That's a long time. But it's a big project. It changes my whole business entirely because he said one thing that I happened to walk in for 15 minutes while he was speaking because I was running around doing other things in the seminar, but I caught just one piece of information that he said that made all the sense in the world to me and that I'm willing and ready to bank my whole business on it. You have to go do the same thing. You will never succeed if you keep yourself in a safe place. It doesn't work that way. The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. That's how it usually works. Except it has to be a calculated risk. This is not a risk coming to the seminar. First of all, if you don't like it after the end of the first day, after seeing like 3 or 4 speakers, come up to me and say, Armin, this sucks. I want my money back. And I'll say, great, here, go see one of my people, and they'll write you a check and have a great day, and we'll part as friends. No big deal. There's nothing to risk on your part. But then again, if you, at the end of the first day, I know you're going to receive tons of information, great ideas. You're going to meet people that you've never met before. And if you take advantage of all the networking that we have there, I mean, if you go to a seminar and you sit up there in your room, you know what? It's not going to do you a bit of good. But if you come to a seminar, you sit there throughout the different sessions, no matter who's speaking, you'll watch, you'll listen to what they're saying, and you pay attention, you take some notes, you meet people, you have dinner with different people. Remember, I'm providing lunches all 3 days. I'm having a huge dinner banquet on Saturday night. I'm paying for all of that. On Saturday night, we're giving away a ton of stuff. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's going to be fantastic. I'm giving away Alex's car, his Lexus, at the big seminar. We're doing just a ton of things, and you need to be there. You need to see how it's done. You need to see why people come back again. You also need to see the information, the network with the other people. It's a huge event, and I just really can't stress this enough. But I can tell you this event, just like every other event that we've had, we've sold out. This event we're selling out as well too. We filled up one hotel with the meeting space that we had available and the rooms that we had available. I had to, our team, had to go out and search actively for new rooms in this area, which is a very tough situation because there's a huge event going on in Atlanta at the same weekend as us, and we had to get rooms at 2 more hotels because one hotel we couldn't get all the rooms we wanted. So we've still got rooms. One hotel's across the street. One hotel is a couple blocks down the road. I can guarantee it's within walking distance of the hotel, so it's no big deal as far as staying at these other hotels. But the fact is, you need to be there, and that's not a decision I can make for you. It's a decision that you need to make. So my suggestion is this: Take 5 minutes. 5 minutes can change your life, and here's how. You go to the website that you were emailed about this call. The bottom of that email was a link to go to the website for our big seminar. Go back to the website. Take 5 minutes and seriously sit down and just read the sales letter. And then at the end of reading that sales letter, the only thing I'm going to ask you to do is just make a decision. Either yes, I want to improve my business, or no, I don't. And then if the answer is yes, then click on one of those buttons and order your seat today. Bring a friend with you, help share the costs, reserve your room, do it today, but go ahead and do that. So with that, Declan, thank you very much for joining us on the call tonight.
Oh, thank you, man. It's been great, and I look forward to seeing everybody.
Look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks here in Atlanta, Georgia. And everyone, again, I look forward to seeing you in Atlanta, Georgia. Take the 5 minutes right now as soon as you hang up on this call. Read the website, make your decision, and again, I'll be seeing you in Atlanta, Georgia. Everyone have a great night, and we'll talk to everyone soon. Bye-bye, everybody. Again, folks, I'd like to welcome everyone to the conference call today. My name is Armin Morin, and today's call is going to be with Declan Dunn. And Declan is a tremendous marketer. You're going to hear a lot of great information, and I'm sure he'll be joining us very shortly here. Declan, have you joined us yet? Not yet. So we're going to I'm going to be the filler until Declan gets here. What we're going to do is folks, the seminar's coming, like I said, are just around the corner, and there's going to be a lot of great speakers, a lot of great information that's going to be shared at the seminar. As many of you know, you've heard many of the speakers on these conference calls. One of the benefits, and I'm going to make this offer again today, and so I'll tell you right up front, is of being there at the seminar is I'm also going to give the people that are attending the call, and I'm going to extend my offer I made the other day till the end of the weekend, and that is if you sign up for the seminar by the end of the weekend, what I'm going to do is actually give you the resale rights to all these calls. Now, the resale rights to all these calls mean a lot of different things for you. First of all, if you look around the marketplace, you're going to notice that there's not a product out there, an audio product, or I can't think of any other product that has all 14 of these guys on it at the same time. Now, it brings up when I said guys, and that's an important question I want to bring up that I've received often, is that people have said and have emailed me and said, there's not a lot of women on your testimonials, and we do have some women on the testimonials. We also have obviously plenty of women that'll be there. I've always tried to get a woman as far as a marketer to speak at my seminar, but I haven't found one that's comfortable with speaking in public as of yet. And so that's part of the question. So if you're a woman listening to this call today, there's an opportunity for you. If you have a proven track record as far as marketing goes, you are a wanted commodity in the speaking industry as far as internet marketing training. So think about that. That's always something. Again, we're going to be hopefully talking with Declan today, and Declan's going to be talking about a lot of great information regarding internet marketing. And again, he's worked with many top clients. Some of those clients you may have heard of, some companies like Priceline, vStore, ProFlowers, MotherNature.com, Art.com, Network Solutions. I mean, I think everyone's heard of them. Toshiba, AAA of Northern California, Refer It, Cashpile, Linkshare, and the list goes on and on and on. And when I say on and on, I mean I'm not exaggerating one bit. Just to give you a few more, Linkshare, One Only, OfficeMax, Ask Jeeves, iWant.com, Pets.com, CNET, GoTo.com, Zoom, Planet RX, Travelocity, CJ, and there's a whole bunch of others. American Express, that's another one that he's worked with previously in the past. And it's he's just a tremendous marketer, and again, I'm really happy that he agreed to be one of our speakers at the big seminar. But Declan, have you joined us yet?
Sure have, Armin. How you doing?
Hey, you had me worried for about 2 seconds there, but I knew you'd make it.
They put me on hold for a second. Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
I'm glad you made it, folks. Again, as I mentioned, Declan has worked with a lot of these companies that I was just mentioning previously. And the thing that you're going to find out about Declan is Declan knows 100% what he's talking about. There is no doubt by the time that you're finished with this call today, you're going to learn a lot of information about Declan and what he does. He does it from a unique standpoint. Now, Declan, one of the questions I've asked every one of our speakers on this call is, what did you do before the Internet?
Actually, what I did before the Internet is I was working in a crazy business called multimedia. I love trying to put together CD-ROMs and video and audio and trying to put together these very much focused on training and educational presentations. But frankly, those things turned out to be like making a movie. I mean, it would take you years to create a CD that maybe 200 people could play, and it probably would work on about 20 of those people's computers.
Right.
And then I saw, it was really funny. I mean, I was working hard trying to do the programming, and I mean, I say that real lightly because I haven't a clue about programming, graphic arts, everything like that. In 1994, when I saw Netscape come out, after the first little browsers, but I saw Netscape come out, and I said, this is going mainstream, and I moved all my energies to the Internet.
Now, as opposed to, I shouldn't say as opposed to, but you worked with some pretty major companies out there. Some of the companies I mentioned earlier that are your clients, and obviously they're coming to you for several different reasons. And you've also have authored several books, several well-known books on the subject of marketing online, especially geared around the affiliate arena as well. I mean, how long have you been involved as far as, for example, let's talk about one of the most popular books. In fact, I own every one of your books, but Winning the Affiliate Game. I mean, that's a well-known book. I think almost everyone has it. If they don't, I believe they definitely should have that book in their library as far as marketing. But now, what made you start to see that affiliate marketing was going where it's even heading today?
Well, what's interesting about affiliate marketing, Armand, is like many people who are starting out in a business, in the early days, I was doing a lot of writing and a lot of promoting of different Internet marketing ideas. In fact, it was funny. I was searching on my name recently on Google, and I found an old review of my site, which was so spot on, but it's always funny to look back and go, I was making the mistakes I teach about now. I was actually running a site, and he goes, I went to that site and didn't know whether I should sign up for his newsletter, buy his Director of Sales training program, which is a training program I did when I did a tour nationwide with Jonathan Mizell and Marlon Sanders.
Yeah.
Or read his other articles. He goes, this guy's making me do three things at once. And I really learned that I needed to focus. And in 98, I started seeing a trend coming up that was affiliate programs. And quite honestly, a lot of it was to be able to focus myself on a specific niche, because when you're promoting yourself or when you're trying to build an identity, you need people to have, I like to call it a little box that they can point at and say, great, he does the affiliate programs. He's the affiliate guru. And I went out with my partner, actually it was funny, in early 98, September 98, Michael Henderson, Patrick Anderson of AdNet said, why don't we work together? Maybe we'll even put our companies together. But we both said, hey, let's figure this thing out. And what we ended up doing was doing the promotions first for the Complete Insider's Guide to Affiliate Programs, which is where I taught people how to run an affiliate program.
Right.
Then I started going to the conferences and speaking on affiliate programs, and I saw this industry that made total sense, because buying ads is one part of the game, but paying on performance, reseller programs are very traditional. So I went and I interviewed the top people, and like anybody could figure out, there's one Amazon, but Amazon has something like 400,000 affiliates?
Right.
So I created the sequel called Winning the Affiliate Game, which was just a huge hit record. We cleared about $500,000 on that in the first year, and we used that as a seed funding to build our company, because once we did that, Patrick, Michael, and I said, God, why don't we just put our companies together? And so we put a little company together where we have fun, good people we work with, and again, it's sort of based on affiliate programs, because we didn't put our company together till we proved the thing was worth doing, and it was fun. And that's what I love about affiliate programs, because they were always a way to say, hey, I got a great idea, but I don't have a ton of money. Let me try to see if I can make this work, make a deal, make other people money, turn it into a really, really win-win proposition, and then when I make that, I can, of course, go out and buy my own ads and things like that. So affiliate programs, to me, for just a no-nonsense way and a part of a marketing arsenal that's really entrenched in the traditions of direct marketing.
Now, with affiliate programs, obviously we've seen a lot of changes over the years. In different respects, people trying it different ways, people running them different ways. Obviously, affiliate software getting better and better as time goes on, and it's still getting better even today. What do you think as far as a marketer goes? Let's take it from two aspects. Let's talk about affiliate programs from the affiliate point of view, and then from a company point of view. What do you feel that the biggest mistake most affiliates are making out there in the marketplace?
The biggest mistake most affiliates are making is that the masses try to think that they're going to be somehow buying and selling traffic. And what I've seen the best affiliates do is really focus on a specific skill base and not try to be a master of all trades. Because I'm a big fan, Armin, of you're going to know one thing and know it well. Like per-click search engines are just an art that, frankly, I've tried and have never mastered. Right. I know it's not rocket science, but, there's certain things you do well and ones you don't do well. So we actually hire that out. But I know a lot of great affiliates who do nothing but buy the right keywords and even the real secret sauce, figure out which ones monetize. Let's say most affiliates focus on a variety of skills or try to develop a website where they think people will come. And when you're marketing, really nowadays I think it's changed dramatically because people have been proven on the Internet not to be surfing around anymore. In fact, they nest in certain sites. And if you're lucky enough to build a good following, I'm not against websites, but I think a lot of affiliates think, I have to build a website and tell them this and tell them that, and then I'll sell them something. What you want to do is that's sort of a content model that I think for most affiliates, there are exceptions, but most that's not a good model. Most affiliates who are really good either focus on per-click search engines, that's a skill. They do email and do acquisition of email, which is something my company does tremendously well. We send out like 200 million emails a month as one of our channels. That's a great way to do it, and we do it right, by the way. We're not killing you. That's a great way to develop a skill. Those who are sort of inside a website hoping people will come endlessly to them, that's the ones that I feel are making an old mistake, because I think in the early days, the people would like to surf a lot more. They'd look around a lot more. Gosh, they are proven to be nesting in certain sites, and unless you have a lot of strength of content and energy to get people to come to your site repeatedly, I think the best thing is to try to figure out which are the best-selling affiliate programs and what works. For example, guys who do dating services, the Match.com, Yahoo Personals folks, what they do is they create a single web page or two or three, like a mini site as we like to call them, around a specific subject and focus like crazy putting traffic to it from per-click search engines primarily. That's a nice business that you can replicate.
Now, before we move on to the company point of view, I just wanted to make a comment for people, and is that, Declan, I don't know if you know this part, but Ken McCarthy had sent me a videotape of you, and I believe it was in 1996 or 1997.
Yeah, 96.
96. And, I had a friend of mine that was watching that videotape while he was at my house here, and he was saying, well, that's some really good information. And then I had to actually tell him when it was actually videotaped. It was actually in 1996, because what was interesting to me when I viewed that videotape was those same principles that you're talking about and the strategies that you're talking about on that tape in 1996 are the same principles and strategies that people are talking about today. I mean, if you gave me that videotape today and you told me it was recorded last week, I wouldn't have never known the difference. I mean, that's what impressed me. So what I'm saying is really just a huge compliment, is that you were so far ahead of the game back in 1996, and now people are just really trying to catch up with that aspect of it. But again, the question comes back to is that in marketing, especially online marketing, many people think, we've all heard the phrase that the Internet changes so fast and it's hard to keep up with it. But again, proving my point, though, is that the principles that you were talking about in 1996 are the same principles that are still valid and applicable today. So principles really don't change that much on the Internet. I mean, am I accurate in saying that?
I totally agree. In fact, I think that's one of the big problems that people face. They buy into the Internet changes so fast and nothing's good here today, tomorrow. What they're missing is that we're in a tradition of direct marketing, and that's just my basis. And quite frankly, that tape, when I began, Armin, I mean, I was the most clueless person about direct marketing. I couldn't sell anything. I couldn't promote anything. I had no idea, and studying with Marlon and Jonathan on the road was not only a blessing of friendship, but they also taught me direct marketing, and I got the net. I've always understood that the net is about the people out there watching what you're doing. I mean, if somebody stares at your webpage and doesn't taking action, you're dead. It's based on their action, not their watching, and this is such a critical thing. Well, direct marketing is based on them taking an action. So by basing those principles back in 96, I was able to really forge ahead with business and just look at it from a really common sense perspective, reading all the great masters, the traditionalists, Dan Kennedy, Jay Abraham, Gary Halbert. I mean, I got inundated in the tradition of direct marketing. Claude Hopkins and John Caples from like the 20s and the 40s are still biggest influence in all my internet marketing because they talk about talking to people directly, giving people a real reason to work with you, adding real value, not BS, really focusing on them. And those traditions are part of what the internet is. So while the techniques and things, there's certain aspects of the business do change, and you have to watch, like, emails become a whole different beast because people are spamming like crazy. But it doesn't mean you run away from email because a bunch of people put their noses up. You look at it as a tool and you see if it works effectively, and if the numbers don't work, it's not going to work for you. And just a little sidearm, and I appreciate the compliment, what I'm about to present at your seminar I consider is going to be the equivalent of what I presented in 96 for the next 5 years. I mean, we're laying out a strategy that I've built with my bigger clients, but I said, God, this is what I do with big clients and regular folks is the same thing. It's direct marketing. It's not about Fortune 500s. Heck, it's about traditional principles of direct marketing and how to acquire more customers quickly at a lower cost in 30 days or less. That's the bottom line, and I'm so excited to be sharing that with you as well.
Well, great. I mean, I can't wait to see it because I know we talked briefly on the phone yesterday, and you just gave me a little bit of kind of things that you're going to talk about, and it's going to be a great talk, folks. And I'm not saying that lightly because of the fact that again, once you hear Declan talk, you're going to know 100% that he's the real deal. I mean, he knows this industry better than anyone I know from many different aspects, from big business to small business. And you're going to see how the big businesses, their research development, the money that they spent, can work for you just like it's working for them. And Declan's going to show you how to do that. Now, before we go on, I just want to cover the affiliate program side of it because there's a couple of things I want to ask you that are really important. I think that many people may not understand on this call. But on the affiliate marketing side, as far as from the company point of view, again, let's cover the same basic question I asked previously from the affiliate point of view, which is what's the major problem that companies do with their affiliate program? As far as what's the thing that they do wrong that you see?
Oh, it's a great question because it's still they go on the old method that affiliate programs is about basically creating a bunch of ads, getting thousands and thousands of people to sign up and sell your product or service, and they sort of sit around and they don't really monitor that as what I like to call a sales channel. They like to think that people will sign up and they rely on their energy, the affiliate's energy, to take over. And I'll tell you, I just did this with a major client. I can't name the name, but we doubled their sales in 3 months. Because they basically had a bank of affiliates, but they weren't encouraging them. They weren't interacting with them. They weren't calling them. And they were trying to treat everybody the same. I mean, they had 20 or 30,000 affiliates, but, anybody in the game today knows if you're lucky, you have 30 to 40 really good resellers. And really, quite honestly, what the game is right now in affiliate programs is about breaking it into about thirds. 1/3 of your affiliates probably are 2 or 3 of your top affiliates. I mean, these are people who just it's an awesome deal for them. It's an awesome deal for you. The next third are the 10 remaining affiliates who are generating a lot of sales. And the final third are the masses who are not to be ignored. But most people focus on that final third. They sign people up. They don't do a thing. I mean, I'm not talking about sending some random newsletter. I mean, looking at your stats, looking at your conversions. How many impressions did you get? How many people clicked? And how many people converted? ABC, right offer to the right list at the right time, and going and mining them and working with them. In fact, I think my friend Marlon Sanders is probably doing it as one of the best I've seen because he's constantly, all he does is work in his affiliate network. And that's why people remember him and they work well for him. And people who do it really well who really focus on their affiliate channel have a tremendous success. And I think most of them they think affiliate programs is like you plug, play, it's an instant cash machine. And frankly, all of us who run good affiliate programs know when it's optimized it's doing that, but the competition's harder now. So it's good to go out, do some of the footwork. Don't just rely on the people that sign up when you do your basic postings, but go out and really identify the best partners. Look at who your competitors' partners are. I mean, Armin, there are tools now. I can tell a client in about 5 minutes how many people are linking to XX competitor's site. I can have their name and their email and their phone number, and I don't do this to spam, by the way. I do it to really monitor and take a look at their traffic levels. All of this is automated in tools, and then I can go make a serious outreach campaign based on experience, based on knowledge, and based on the fact that I know I'm looking at per-click search engines, email affiliates, and then the people with websites who generate a lot of sales. It's really not rocket science, but like anything, like all good direct marketing, it's a discipline. Are you going to wake up and just set your goals, focus on them, and get it done? It is so simple in the way it works, but most people, frankly, with affiliate programs, Armin's biggest mistake is they're pretty lazy.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with that because right now, what I'm doing again on my personal business is that I'm having a person coming in full time that's just going to handle my affiliate program, where what they're doing is we've built a whole suite of tools that people can utilize, and then this person's not only going to train and teach the existing affiliates because the majority don't know what to do as far as the proper way to do it, and then as well as focus on acquiring new affiliate partners into the program. I mean, so we've spent actually 6 months designing this site to do that. Actually, I'm going to release it at the seminar, believe it or not.
See, that's a great idea, and you're so spot on too, because I'm actually reading a great book by Robert Kiyosaki called Cash Flow Quadrant.
Yeah, it's awesome, a book.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's been around a while, but I'm having a coach work with me, and it's so funny because what you're doing, I mean, he talks about people acting like an employee, which is obvious, or what was interesting is a lot of us act in what he calls the S quadrant, which is self-employed, which is basically working your own job. And
right.
It's all based on you.
Sure.
And when you get to a business level, which is the other quadrant, which means you start delegating, the fact that you have a person focused, dedicated, and interested in that, and you've got great products, you combine that with somebody who's dedicated and really rewarded when that channel succeeds, you've got a total proposition that you can go out and scale and get, you can put more and more people on there when it's needed, but in the beginning, having a dedicated person, I think, is just such a critical part of the affiliate program.
It's definitely, and here's something, here's how we did, and I think this may help a lot of people out there. Well, obviously when I first started online, I did everything myself personally, because you're a one-man show and you're just getting started, so, and maybe your finances can't afford to have someone else doing everything, so you did it all. You were the as everyone talks about, you were the CEO, you were the janitor, you were the maid, and everything else.
Totally, same here.
But as I started building my business, the first area that I took care of and brought in a person to do for me was strictly my customer service. And what I did was I knew one thing is that I need to do two things, and I need to do it very effectively, and that is I need to be able to create great products and deliver those products instantly and make sure that those products are of high quality. The second thing that I needed to do was to provide better customer service than anyone else I knew. And if I could do those two things, then I knew I would have a successful business. But now that's kind of not really building, though. That didn't leave me a lot of time as far as proactive marketing. So because I was still doing it all myself. So when I outsourced my customer service, I had more time for product development and marketing. But then again, now the next step is is to get my affiliates going in the proper direction. Now, here's what I did in case everyone's wondering. Well, Armin's been doing it for a while and he can afford to pay someone else to do this. Well, no, because here's what the deal is. I made a deal with somebody to pay them a percentage. I don't pay them an actual salary. I pay them a percentage of the income that my affiliates generate. So it doesn't cost me a dime in order to do that. So I pay them if I pay out my affiliates $30,000 this month, and that person makes, let's say, 10% of that $30,000, so I'm paying them $3,000. So it's all out of profits. It's not out of my pocket. So it's an easy way that you can hire anybody on the spot. You can get a virtual assistant, basically, someone that you may never even meet to actually do it for you. And that's just the way that I'm currently doing it, and it seems to be working out for us at this point. You have a couple different things, and here's where it is, and I'm not sure if you realize this or not, is that people, some of the people that are listening on this call, you mentioned a few things that I think they may confuse them a little bit. One of the things that you mentioned is that you stated that you send out about 2 million emails a month or so, roughly. Now, I know some of the people on the call, they're going like, holy crap, how does he send 2 million emails a month? So I think that they may not understand your particular business model as far as what you're doing, because it's a different realm of thinking than I think they're really looking at right now.
Yeah, and guys, one of the things I want to apply here is that we've built a really successful direct marketing agency business. So we do tremendous amounts of promotions, and a lot of people sort of get, oh my gosh, what a big number. But you really have to understand the scope of what's going on in the Internet. And Armin, I really like what you're saying too, because I want, one of the things is when you get bigger, people think, oh, you work with American Express, what can you do for me? Let me tell you, what you can do is to automate and systematize everything you do. And what you just pointed out is such gold, because it's about doing a joint venture approach, looking at it not that you have to be everybody and have to pay people ridiculous salaries. You end up getting employees who are driven by hours. When you get somebody who's driven by performance, in other words, making a sale or getting a percentage of revenue generated, you've got somebody who wants to grow with you. And all of us, including myself, I started out in the middle of a basement working this stuff, seriously, working hard. And now we've worked up to a company where it's like 15 employees, and that's sort of where we actually stay at that size. And let me explain what goes into it, because what's funny is, if you think about a direct marketer, guys, what I want you to think about is I am a traditional direct marketer, and like Armand, I started adding on a customer service person. I added on an affiliate manager. Now I add on a few web designers and a few salespeople whose job it is to focus and grow my business, called AdNet International. That's ADNET and the word international.com. When you go to that site, you'll see that not only do we work with different clients, but we always build our own. And one of the biggest lessons I know is always own your own products and services. Own something. Own it in the means of something that you're promoting yourself that talks about you. We do this around sites like ActiveMarketplace.com, Best20Sites.com. And to give you an idea of what we do as a direct marketing agency is actually, Armand, it's really simple. One, we focus on email and leads. Email and leads. Email is the direct mail of the Internet. Now, I want you to all stop a second. Stop your minds from thinking of all the hype you've read about spam. Guys, I speak at Jupiter Media, okay, so I am not a spammer. I do a consumer email list that I developed on my own, that we develop anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million names a month, okay? This is very feasible. It's very feasible to do. I showed one of my friends how to do this. He built a list of 200 to 300,000 in 3 months, and he makes an income of about 10,000 a month off of that. I'm going to show you how we do that, which is by working, getting leads. Leads means a form that you fill out on the Internet. So we created a little campaign, and this is a one-page website with an email form called MovieBucks, MovieBucks.com. Take a look at it. It took us a day and a half to create. You fill in the form, you redeem the offers from the different merchants, and we send you 2 free movie tickets. That's how we built our email list. So to send that out, we know a lot of different rules about sending out a lot of email because we're professional direct emailers. We're working with a lot of top people to promote their products and services to our list. We don't just send it out. We get people to opt into our list, and this is how we build it. So email is 1/3 of my business.
Well, one of the things I just want to mention on that, the MovieBucks concept. Now, I personally haven't been to that site, so I don't even know what it looks like. But I do know this, is that in the classes that I teach on product creation, I always teach people how to go look for what people are searching for on the net, as far as where's the traffic going currently right now. And when you just said MovieBucks, I was really shocked, and here's the reason why. Is because the example that I give many times is I'll go to, let's just say Overture, and I'll type in the search term suggestion tool, and I'll type in, just a general term, and I type in movie. Well, movie, and for everyone listening, you have to understand the concept here. Moviebucks.com, I mean, is a brilliant concept because the term movie is actually searched on, I believe it's over almost 3 million times per month. And that's just through Overture. And so if you multiply that by the let's say 5 or 6 or whatever the case may be, I mean, that's how many people are searching the net for that term movie. So that's a huge idea right there. That's awesome.
Well, you know, Arvind, I mean, this is where it's so simple, guys. This is not about like, oh, we're a big company, whoop-de-doo. We do what we call demand marketing, which is just what you just said. What are customers searching for?
Right.
I don't make up a product. I have no idea. You know what the genius is? The customer. And you can sit there with little tools and find out exactly what they're typing in. So we said, direct marketing is based on free promotions where we build an email list where we can get our cost per email record down to 2 to 5 cents a name. Well, that's pretty cheap. What can we do? Well, let's go to Google. Let's go to Overture. That's the simplest basis of it. And out of that, we were able to build out of that particular promotion, which is funny, Armand, we were the fastest growing internet promotion in April 2002, according to Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we were testing. We were just like buying pop traffic,
right,
pushing this in front of people, and basically built a list of 1 million people in 3 months using that process. And we can do that for other stuff too, whatever they're looking for.
You know, it's really interesting because, you know, I was actually talking. I believe it was last September. I was talking with Jonathan Mizell. Patrick Anderson actually was there at the System Conference, and someone else from your company was there as well too. And there was several things that we were talking about. But what's happening is that now being, you know, where I was, I should say, on the internet, I had no idea about some of these different concepts. Like, for example, you know, acquiring emails in huge quantities, or acquiring, you know, or utilizing pop-up traffic in huge amounts. And so I'm listening, you know, I'm like sitting in the middle, let's say, of Jonathan and Patrick, and they're having this conversation. I'm going, and all of a sudden it was just one of those moments you're just like, holy crap, it's that easy. That's all I have to do is just get some traffic like that, and that's it. And it was just this major shock to me, because I was going on the onesies and twosie type basis of trying to grab emails and everything else, instead of, again, trying to get everything in huge and bigger quantities, because I was probably thinking, like many people on this call right now, that there is no way I could personally generate, you know, 500,000 or acquire 500,000 emails in a month, or 100,000, or even 50,000, because they haven't been taught or been exposed to this type of thinking before. And that's why I think this call is so important for everybody.
Oh, no, Armin, totally, because it's really funny. There's a lot of people who go on the internet and have this limitation that it's about their website and the small group of people, because we all know there's only a certain amount of people who are going to visit your website, unless, you know, you've got some huge, humongous kind of interest going on for a specific topic, or, you know, whatever you're doing. And what we did was, you know, I actually use this, and this is such a tradition of direct marketing too. I mean, I always do my Mark Twain quote. The secret to success is find out where the people are meeting and get there first.
Right.
I know, and Patrick and I have always practiced finding and looking at where there are existing traffic pools, and also working very much on talking to people in the business. Now I know people who I can snap my fingers and go call, and they're going to be able to set me up with leads like this. And let me tell you guys, none of these are more than 1 to 2 or 3 person shops. None of these guys are geniuses. None of these guys know anything, or women, by the way, know anything more than you do, I do. That's such an illusion. There's like some secret. What they know is that there's certain places people go and fill out. For instance, we have one relationship with somebody who sells sweepstakes, and we can get on their site and be able to get email leads for sweepstakes. They do this all the time. They generate anywhere from 30 to 50,000 a day. That's what they do, and they do a little trick that I'm going to show at the seminar, where we can purchase those with them, with their permission, and be able to market to those people ourselves. And we can send out those emails, guys, at a ridiculously low price. I mean, when you know how to use the certain tools, it is as simple as going, oh my gosh,
I could just go over there, get this, and build a steady business. And I'll tell you, you want to know why your spam box is filled? I can tell you one thing about direct marketing. As much as people, because I bet a lot of you are blocked, you're sitting there going, oh, I've read this, and I hate spam. Hey, come on, so do I. But let me tell you something. The reason that it's growing is because it's working. And all those emails that you see repetitively, heck, Robert Allen has done an insane job, almost all on performance, promoting through the channel. And let me tell you, a lot of people had no idea who he is. Even he was able to do it. But if you take away those blocks and understand if you do it right like we do, which means honoring the customer, letting them stay on your list if they want. If they don't, why would I email them? And putting that into breaking through that barrier, you're going to understand that right now, in the next 6 months, and let me tell you, I've talked to people at the FTC. I spoke at Jupiter Media's conference in June in New York City. I was on the panel, and I was one of the direct emailers there, and the lines on the map are so clear. Email is so cheap now, but in a year or two, it is going to go up in cost to deliver. It is going to be more expensive, and I can tell you the best piece of advice is any business, small or large, your email list is gold. As one of my mentors, Stephen Mahaney, taught me years ago, if I have a good email list and it's built with buyers and people who love hearing from me, if something happens, my whole business goes corrupt, somebody breaks in, my house burns down, my business is shut down, I can take that database and start a new business tomorrow. And that is one of the key elements. Email is not about spam. It's about data. It's about direct marketing. And it is about probably the easiest, cheapest thing on the Internet to do right now, and it is so misunderstood. And when you understand it, you understand. Do you know how, Arm, let me give you a question to prove this. What percentage of people do you think have bought from an email? Bought a product on the Internet?
Bought a product from via email? Oh, I don't know. Let's say, I don't know. That's a tough question. I'm going to say 20%.
42%.
42%.
Isn't that amazing? I just found that out in a question I got in one of these newsletters I subscribe to from a major tracking source. All that hype, and 42% of people on the Internet have bought a product through email because, you know what? I love this because people go, oh, my email box is filled with junk email. Or Earthlink's like, 50% of email is garbage. Well, let me tell you guys something. Next time you go out to your post box and you open your mailbox, how much of that is garbage? And is that silly? No. It's called direct marketing. It works, and it's based on a percentage gain of 1% to 2% conversion on what you sell out. So when you start seeing people who can send 1 million emails and have it cost them $200 to $300, you start seeing the power and why it's happening. And you don't have to. By the way, what I'm going to share with you is not the practices of how to do it and hurt the customer. It's how to build up a really good list that you can build as a steady income stream in what you're doing, which is what we do. It's just part of our business.
Now, I think that's an important part to mention. Well, first of all, before I do mention this, is that it's really kind of funny because I have every one of my websites has probably 2 or 3 different email addresses, so I probably get a huge amount just of bogus email, and I don't go through any filter. I just delete them all because I actually like receiving email, and I read them just to see what's being offered. But one of the things that was kind of funny because one of the greatest resources that I found was through a bulk email. This one was basically it was strictly spam. There's no doubt on this particular email, but it was funny because it was a source that I was currently looking for. And it was where to get Dragon Naturally Speaking for like $29.95 as opposed to paying $300 for it.
What's funny is that like any direct mail, it's really about as much. It's junk mail when you're not interested in it.
But it's timing.
It's total timing, and it's amazing. If you've seen the kind of sales that have been generated through email, I mean, we do things that just go astronomically. But basically, the real gold there is to find out what people actually want to hear about. So that's why we like with MovieBucks, it was real easy to send them different entertainment offers, and we could do a little research and find out what people like to go to the movies and what sort of products and services they buy. It was real easy to say, great, and then we just did like you did. Let's make a deal. How much can we get per sale? Boom, emails out.
there was this one part I think that many people on the call probably don't understand, and that is that when you're sending these offers out in this media, when you're collecting email and acquiring email in this fashion, as far as the quantity that you're doing, everyone needs to understand that you're not sending them your ebook on how to create an e-zine in 24 hours or less.
No, that's a great point. Let me give you a way to differentiate, because the funny thing is people try to just emulate, and there's two models you want to emulate. When I was doing my Winning the Affiliate Game and my ebooks,
right,
that was a very small list, and you got to understand it's very small in terms. I was giving away a free report. My affiliates, in fact, gave away a free report, and I paid them when people bought off the emails that were sent out following the request for the free report, which is a very standard direct marketing technique.
Right.
I got 10, 20, 30,000 people over the first 3 months. That was a great list. I ended up generating a tremendous amount of buyers, slowly but surely building that company. So if you're focusing just on your own product or service, my advice is you want to think about email and offering your product. The purpose of a website, if you have it, is two. One, I'm assuming you're making sales here, okay? I'm not talking about content or community, which is a separate subject. One is to sell your product or service, but two is to get an email, because we all know that if you're really doing well, in direct marketing, the rule is 2% buy is a good conversion, and some of us have higher numbers, but I like to err on the low side. That means 98% of the people won't buy, and for 100 years, guys, people have bought on 5th to 7th contact from a company, not on first contact. I want you to think about it. How many times do you buy an impulse? It's very rare. But the more they hear about it, the better that they get to like you and know you. And we did this for our program, and we're able to build up a list eventually of about 50,000 people who requested our free report. That's a good way to think about it. When I'm talking to you about the bigger business, for some of you who would say, hey, I want a business I could run very easily, you're able to gather names, but that's what you do in consumer mailing. Consumer mailing means this is sort of mass mailing, where you're looking at the mass interest of consumers, and basically I can tell you their debt consolidation. Listen to the radio, the same ads. Work on the internet, debt consolidation, people have debt problems. There's diets in the summertime, there's online education. And how do I know this? I call up 2 or 3 people in the business, and I talk to them, and this is what I share in my own outreach and my own newsletter, and what we're about to release at Armin's conference is those are the ongoing tips and techniques and who to be in touch with and who to watch. We sign up for a spam list just to watch what's being sent out, and I have people just see what's repetitively being sent out, and then we call the company and say, hey, looks like it's working. Can we run that deal? And I'm not talking some of the edgier stuff. We stay away from the enlargement area. Everybody I know is sitting there going, what, all that crap I get? No, you got your choices. And let me tell you can sell them, offer them a lot of good products and services. But I'd like most folks on this call to really think about email 2 ways. One is how it applies to your business, and that is communicating with your customer base and your prospect base and letting them remember you, because people will forget you so quickly. And the business that does this very positively is not a spammer. What makes a spammer is when somebody takes a look in their inbox and looks at that from line and doesn't know who it's from. That's the very first question people ask. When they know who it's from and they trust them, the response rates are tremendous. An example, I just saw somebody with a list of 50,000 sell a product for $100, and they got a 7% sell-through on their first email because they knew them, they liked them, and they trusted them.
That's awesome. In fact, one of the things that I know you're a huge advocate on, and we don't have a lot of time left for this, but the fact is that you are a huge believer as far as conversion. And conversion secrets. That's one of the things that that you do. Is you show people how to increase conversion. Well, I shouldn't say conversion, but tracking, I should say. Let's go back. Tracking first, as far as tracking their results. Because a lot of people on this call probably don't know about tracking or metrics and what that really ultimately means to your business. And I know one of the things that you're going to be talking about at the seminar is your new system that you've been working with that you've used for your big clients. And one component of that is the actual tracking to find out what they're currently doing right now.
Oh, totally. And again, it's not about the computers and the technical end, which is, I think, where most people's minds get blocked.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you and I are talking on a phone. Do you have any idea the technology that is connecting us, or are we just talking? See, it's the same thing with tracking. You don't need to know the technology. What you need to know are the elements of traditional direct marketing, and it's very simple. It's the right offer to the right list at the right time equals profits. And here's what you have to look at. Number one, am I sending out the right offer? How many people saw my ad, and how many people took action, actually clicked on it? Because if they delete it like a spam email, that's a bad offer, okay? They weren't interested and they got it deleted. So it's the offer. What's your ad look like? What's your headline? How are you positioning this? And what is the offer to me, the customer? Why is it important to me? I mean, most people, when they get started, start talking about their business and get so wrapped up. Well, nobody cares about your business as a prospect. They care about themselves, which is good. So you want to start thinking from their perspective, which is what we call demand marketing, driven by the customer, not by us sitting around going, well, I wonder what they want. Let's do some studies. We don't do that. We just go look at what they're doing. The net tells you that. So the tools that we have and the tools that are there are so cheap for anyone to be able to use, enable you to put this in and say, okay, this many people saw my ad. Whatever that ad is, an email, a pop, it doesn't matter. It's just an ad. Where did they see that ad? And number two, how many people who clicked on that ad and actually came to my website, took a look at my sales letter or what have you, how many of them actually purchased? How many of them actually took action? That's what you call conversion. And that's a game of numbers, because a lot of people get very intimidated by people who are successful. They say, oh, it's so easy for you. No, it's not. We learned a plan to fail quickly, to learn how to watch it, and to go by the numbers and not spend our fortune on a hope, but watch the numbers and say, here's the right offer. Did we send it to the right list? Because the right list means the right people seeing that message. So for your ebook, when you're beginning, it's not going to be a big list. There's only a limited targeted number of customers. That's okay. That's the right list, because the right list gives you the right conversion. If it's the wrong list, I've seen ads where people click through a ton. It's a trick ad. Like my friend created an ad, had Roger Rabbit on it, and it had a gun to his head and say, click here or the bunny gets it. You got like a 50% click-through, but no one's going to buy. It was a trick. When you actually get people to click, and then how many people actually went there and bought. It's so simple, guys. How many saw my ad? How many went there and took the action I wanted? And number three, we like to include how many people left me their email with their permission so that I can email them and remind them of the product or service, give them more free benefits, get them back, and over 5 or 7 contacts, allow them to see me. And I'm going to be able to show you how you can do this automated for like $20 a month. This is the real gold. It's all about the marketing by the numbers, so you don't need to be a genius. You don't need to know everything. All you need to know is, I'm going to drive the right car. It's going to run. That's what your website is. It's like a car, but most people buy a junker that they design themselves when they could put together the tools very cost-effectively and say, wow, now I know to look at the numbers, and I'm not going on hope or what I think might happen.
And that's really important. I mean, is that, you know, I tell people so many times that marketing is not guesswork. It's actually a science. You do this, this happens. You do this, then this happens. And it happens, you know, over and over again, depending on the amount of traffic that you send, will determine on how often that happens. You know, in fact, here's a classic example. This is actually what I'm talking about at the seminar, which I've never talked about before. Most people hear me talk about software, but since it's my deal, I'm going to talk about whatever I want. So, one of the things I'm talking about is actually a study that I've been doing for the past 3 weeks. Actually, it's probably about 4 weeks now. But every day, what I've been doing is I've only been concentrating on one subject, and that is the opt-in box that appears on my website. And what I've been doing is testing every little thing that everyone's always wondered about an opt-in box, what works, what doesn't, and all this other crazy stuff. And I've tested some crazy things on this box just to see what happens. I think people are going to be really shocked. But what I did is I actually did a split test between the two. I took the winner every day and moved it around to get the to put the newest one compared against the winner of the previous one. And then we just kept going and going and going like that and changing it and altering it and changing it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show everybody exactly what I started with and each change along the way and the results that change made all the way to the very end, at least up until the point of where of where we are at the time of the seminar. So it's gonna be an interesting site. I think you'll enjoy it.
Oh man, that's so fascinating, because what you're really doing, and the real gold there, is that the really successful people don't have anything but an ability to look and test. Here's A, this is what's been working, my control.
Right.
Here's B, this is the thing I want to improve it on. Let me continually look and see which ones they like. In fact, in my presentation, I'm going to show you how I do that with a headline, and in about 3 days, I figure out exactly which headline's the killer one that I can use just by watching what the customers do.
Exactly. And this is something I think that people, folks, if you when you come to the seminar, what you're going to see is you're going to see a few different things. You're going to notice, especially when Declan talks, he's going to show you about the testing aspects of it, and you're going to see many other people talk, and everyone will probably touch on testing at one point or another throughout their presentation, almost guaranteed. But the problem is, and the sad part is, that many people just don't do it. They don't do it. They get in a rush. They don't do it, or they don't know how. They think it's more complicated than what it is. And as Declan already mentioned, it's not complicated. It's very simple. He mentioned he's going to show you ways you can do it for around $20 a month or so. And if $20 a month, put it this way: would you spend $20 a month to make an extra $3,000 a month?
Oh, and that's totally it, Armin, because one of the reasons that what I'm about to share, and I've been working on this project for 2 years, so I'm finally so excited to release it, is that I always heard when I began, it used to really frustrate me back in the early days. I mean, Armin, I used to write headlines like, "The promise lies not in our technology, but in ourselves." And I mean, people would look at that and go, "What?" I mean, I had no idea how to write a headline. And then I was taught a formula, and the formula works. But one of the things that frustrated me at these conferences when I was going is everyone said test, but no one took me by the hand and said, how do I do this step by step? What do I do if I want to test an email? What do I do if I want to test a search engine, like I want to buy clicks at Overture and see if somebody clicks, it actually makes a sale? How do I know I'm successful? I don't know any of this. How do I do this in pops or banners or whatever my ad is? Well, I've created a system, and my presentation is going to show you specifically how to do it, how anyone can do it for a very, very low budget, and show them the step-by-step process so that, you know what, when you have money, it's great to invest it, but in the beginning, I still take the same discipline. I am still a poor startup. I don't have money. I've got to keep focus and discipline, because that's the greatest gift. When you lose that is when you lose your whole business. And when you're starting, guys, especially you just beginning, saying, gosh, some of this I don't understand, what you need to understand is how do you let the customers tell you what works so that you don't have to be a genius thinking you'll sit in your room and figure it out. And when you get that down, when you let the customer control, your life gets a lot easier.
I mean, that's it. And folks, we've just spent 50 minutes with Declan, and quite honestly, this call, the information that was shared on this call is really priceless. I mean, we only had 50 minutes, and when you see Declan live, I can tell you this: he's a dynamic speaker. You're going to learn a lot from him as far as what to do, how to do it, and he's a straight facts person. As you've heard some of the companies already that he's worked with. With these companies, multi-million-dollar companies put their faith in someone that doesn't know what they're doing. No. Well, Declan is one of those people that they go to when they need help with something, and you can learn from the person that's actually teaching these huge companies, and he's going to show you in the step-by-step format how to do these things that we talked about on the phone, and much, much more. And that really, really is the key to the whole success of you being successful on the internet. Is that you need someone that's going to teach you how to do these things. You can do it by yourself, and sure, but Declan, how long have you been on the internet?
I've been on since '94, 9 years now.
9 years on the internet. I thought I was on a long time, but I was on. You get 2 years on me. But the thing is that Declan, he went through all this. He knows what's happening, and he's seen it from a bigger scale than I think most people that I know. Meaning that he's seen it in much more quantity. He's seen it in much bigger mass as far as numbers go. I mean, he's seen it all, and he can tell you in a very short period of time what works and what doesn't. And he's a straightforward person. You're going to find that out at the seminar. So, but Declan, just real brief before we wrap up. I mean, could you go over maybe just highlights of a couple of the topics you're going to talk about at the seminar?
Yes, definitely. In fact, what I'm talking about is scientific internet marketing, how to get customers quickly at a lower cost than 30 days or less guaranteed. What that means is I'm going to take you through a very, very step-by-step process of how to roll out any product or service on the internet and to see if it's successful. I'm going to first show you sort of an overview of how the internet actually works based on a tradition that is based on the customer, and which means when you're going out and you're thinking of an idea, I'm going to show you techniques that in about a day will show you whether that idea is worth going to, because if there's not a lot of people interested in it, there's not a demand. That's what demand marketing is. What does the customer demand? How can you fulfill it? And this is using a little tool called Google and other radical, very easy tools. It's using a search engine and saying, not a lot of results here. That might not be a good business. So how to evaluate at the beginning what's a good idea and what's not. Then how to go through and test in very different formats. I'll show you how to test in email. I'll show you how to test in standard banners or even a pop-up. It's pretty much the same thing. And I'll also show you how to test using search engines so you can see how your ad is working, the offer, and how that offer converts. 1, 2. That's what I'm going to be focusing on for the presentation. And to give you ideas to show you as well what those conversion numbers should be so you have a basis of knowledge of going forward, and you can take a look and show you also. I'm going to show you a technique that has increased sales for every one of my clients, and by the way, my own small businesses, 10 to 30%. And it's a mistake almost everyone makes, and they think a certain way. I want to break your barriers and show you a simpler, easier way to do internet marketing based on testing. So we're going to look at the offer, look at the way you convert your sales process, and show you how to do this in very, very simple ways. And all of these, the reason I say 30 days or less, we never spend more than a few days developing an idea or a website. I'm assuming the product's already been developed. We'll spend a very small time developing that to keep focused, to do our testing and show you how you can do that in 30 days or less so you can get going. If you have a product, and if you don't have a product, you'll learn how to identify and roll it out very quickly.
Sounds good to me. I will be there. I will be listening. And folks, and you can be there too. It's really simple. Again, Declan is just one of the many speakers that we're going to be having at the seminar. There's 13 different top internet marketers, and when I say top internet marketers, I don't mean that lightly. I mean, these guys are really the best in the world. I mean, we have people like you've heard Jonathan Mizell mentioned several times on this call. We have Alex Mondosian, we have Joel Vitale, Carl Galletti, Fred Gleek, Randy Chirac, Kurt Christensen, Frank Kern, who doesn't speak very often, is actually going to be there. There's just numerous people, Frank Guerin, there's Bob Silber, who's going to be there as well too, and a whole host of other people. And the fact is that the whole objective of this weekend is to teach you for 3 days how to succeed online in your own online business. It's very simple. It's not complicated as many people think. And again, every one of these people that are going to be teaching you they speak in plain English. They don't speak in a foreign language, so you're going to be able to understand them easily. They're going to break it down for you as far as what they're doing, how you can do it. And, Declan made a very interesting observation is to break down the barriers. And, so many people got online and they started learning from somebody. Now, whether that person really knew what they were talking about is a whole other issue. And many times the people that we've heard and the stories that we've heard and the concepts that we've heard are 100% wrong because these people didn't even test it. They're making, guesses. They have no clue. Well, what's going to be taught at the seminar is not guesses. It's not theory. It's not just concepts. What it is, it's factual information. This is what works. How do I know? Because this is what I'm doing. This is what I tested. Here are the results. Here's how you can do it too. And here's the step-by-step plan that you need to go home and start doing immediately once you get there. That's how the seminar is structured, and that's why you're going to learn a tremendous amount of information when you come to the big seminar. Now, there's again, it's only a few short weeks away. In fact, it's less than 2 weeks away, and some of you on this call right now are probably wondering, can I still get in on the seminar? Well, the answer is yes. I made sure that we've extended the amount of space that we have so we can hold quite a few number of people. We have over, I believe the number is about 220 people registered at this point. to come to the seminar. It's going to be a fantastic event, but it's really simple, and here's how you do it. Each one of the people that are on this call right now, you were referred by someone to this call, and in that email that you received, there was a link to go to the seminar site. Simply click on that link, go to the site. At the very bottom, you're going to see register my seat for the seminar. Click on that button, fill in your credit card information, and then click the order button. You're going to receive a welcome email, and it's important that you register your hotel room today because hotel rooms are filling up fast. We're trying to get more and more blocks as we go along, but every day we have to call in with more and more and more. Now, the other thing that I want to give you a little bit of an incentive as well, too, what I'm doing for everybody is several different things. First of all, at the seminar, when you get there, there's really no other expenses out of your pocket except for breakfast. I'm paying for your lunches. I'm paying for your dinner. I'm paying, as far as everything while you're there. You don't really have to worry about too much once you get there. The hotel rooms, we have a tremendous deal. It's about 50% less than what their normal rate is. I believe their normal rate is about $159 a night, and our rate is, I think it's $84 per night at the hotel. So we've got you some great room rates, some great discounts. We have, if you need a call while you're there, we have a discount for Avis Rent-A-Car that I worked out with them. We also even made a deal with our corporate sponsors, American Airlines, where you can receive a discount on the airfare even to get out there if you need to take a plane. So we have some tremendous deals, and you'll receive a welcome email after you sign up for the seminar. It's very simple. Now, one of the other things, though, one of the special bonuses I'm doing for everybody, especially if you order by the end of this weekend, and that is this. I made this offer on Thursday, and I'm extending it till Sunday. What the deal is that if you sign up for the seminar, what you're going to receive is also the resale rights to all the calls that I've done with all the speakers. Now, all the speakers that you've heard on these calls, all the speakers are going to be at the seminar. I've interviewed each one of them one-on-one. They've given some fantastic information, which I probably should have charged for all these calls. Because of the content that was given, there's really priceless information there. But you're going to not only receive those calls in a digital format in MP3s at the seminar on the CD, but you're also going to receive the rights to them, which means that you can actually sell them and actually turn a profit. Now, the one thing that I've neglected to mention on this is that the best part about this product, so we always talk about a product and that you need a back end. Well, we have a built-in back end for this product, and let me explain to you what I mean by that, is that you sell the product, let's say, for $97. Now, the next step is to sell them something else that they would be interested in. So what we've done is we've done that all for you, and here's why. What we've done is when you sell that person that product, what's the next logical step? Well, they've heard the preview call. They've missed the seminar, so how can they still get the advantage or the experience of the seminar? Well, we have the audio tapes of the seminar and or the videotapes of the seminar, which you're all automatically going to be an affiliate for once you sign up for the seminar. So you're going to have a product that you can market out there. You've got a built-in back end for the product that not only we can upsell them once, but actually can upsell them twice up into a much higher ticket items, as well as earn commissions on those sales as well, too. So you're keeping all the money on the front and then sending them to us through your affiliate link to earn the back-end money from this product as well. So it's a great system. We developed it. We've thought about it very hard. We're even going to give you autoresponder messages that you can automatically just plug in after they bought to show them how to get them to actually upsell into it. And so it's a system. It's total turnkey. It's a turnkey product that can literally make you thousands of dollars if you actually utilize and apply it. So, again, that's really exciting. But I'm going to give you all that if you sign up for the seminar by Sunday. So, again, if you're thinking about it, I urge you to simply just go to the website, click the button, register today, and fill that out. And so, again, many of the speakers have some different offers, so you might want to check with whoever referred you to as far as what they're offering, and make sure that you can still get in on that. It's going to be a tremendous event. We're going to have a great time there. I can tell you this, it's going to be probably different than any other seminar that you've been to. It's a fact. I mean, and the reason I know this is because, guess what? Everybody else that's putting on an internet marketing seminar are actually either a speaker at my seminar or they're coming to my seminar. And let me give you an example. There's only a few people doing internet marketing seminars. There's Ted Ciuba, Carl Galletti, Michael Penland, and Ken McCarthy. and all those people are actually going to be at my seminar. And so you're going to hear from the different seminar promoters that are there as well too, the different people that have organized seminars in the past, and they're coming to the seminar as well too. Coincidence? Well, we're all good friends, and we all support each other every which way possible. But I do it just a slight bit different, and everyone has their own style, and you're going to see it all at the seminar. So, folks, again, we're going to have a great time. I urge you to come. And, Declan, I appreciate you taking the time out of your Saturday to meet with us. And I know, just for everyone's sake, I'm going to be sending an email because Declan's doing a special closed-door session at the big seminar on Friday night, and it's by invitation only. So if you're signed up for the seminar, you're going to receive an email on that from me over the weekend here, and you can call up and actually get registered for that call that particular session. Again, it's a closed-door private session that Declan's going to be showing people about some new technology, some new things. And, again, you need to make sure that you register for that, and I'm going to show you how to do that in the email that I send out. So, Declan, again, thank you for taking the time out with us today. It's a tremendous amount of information, as I knew it would be. And
pleasure, Armin, a pleasure. And looking forward to meeting you all in San Francisco in a few weeks.
Sounds great. And, folks, we're going to wrap up this call here today, and we're going to be talking with everyone again on Monday night. I'll be sending an email to everybody regarding a Monday with who, I have no idea at this point. But you'll get an email with all the details, and then we'll talk to everybody then. So everyone have a great night, and I hope to see everyone in San Francisco. Bye-bye.